Welcome to the Perth Poetry Festival. Ladies and gentlemen, a really, really warm round of applause, please, for our 2017 featured musician, Timothy Gallagher. We would like to thank the City of Perth, Winter's Art Season, Fremantle Press, Forms, The Good Shed, Sunline Press, Mulla Mulla Press, Perth Poetry Club, Voicebox Fremantle, Spoken Word Perth, Crow Books, Town of Victoria Park, Laura Keat House, Tantamount Greeting Cards, Noise Pollution Records, and we'd also like to thank the Australian Cultural Fund.
Poetry is so inclusive that there's poetry for everyone, for every taste, for every demographic. Poetry isn't rigid like mathematics where you're working to set formulas and there's a definite right and a definite wrong. Poetry is a lot more fluid than that. Poetry has so many forms, so many ways of going. It has an appeal for everybody out there.
It gives you an insight into the way the world is, the difference and the similarity at the same time. I talk about it being embodiment in poetry, and people get it when they might not get it if you were just talking or walking past each other on the street. This one is a love poem for my partner. I remember we met in someone else's clawfoot bath. The taps were awkward. The moon turned away discreetly. I was all tears and apologies for being desired. Climbing in, I slipped, bumped my thinking on your actual body. We couldn't speak yet of what the water held. Of course, the mirrors fogged up. Time pooled like candle wax, and when you stood up, you shone.
It's my very great pleasure to introduce Luis Francia, who's all the way from New York City by way of the Philippines.
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you to the festival for inviting me. The form of poetry appealed to me because I'm not a very patient person, so the brevity of poetry was the first thing that appealed to me. I need to reacquaint myself with the language of the flesh and its oily alphabets. Does the world miss me? Will it say, yes, you are one of us, the elect. Touch me and feel the fever of my virtue. I need to get off my sanctimonious knees, my artful ways of deceiving, and forswear my worship of someone so caught up in torture.
Silence, absence, ineffability, what happens when words fail us, what stands in for silence.
This is the sharp edge of the day. Grey blades of light announce the morning. The earth tips, peels the lining of night, makes it our turn to claim the sky. My body cracks its chrysalis of dreams, of nightmare, starts to grow the membrane that protects me from the rudeness of day. In the shower, scales encase my feet, creep upwards to my thighs. By the time I have washed off night's vernix, I have become half-clothed in second skin.
I hated poetry during school, mostly because I was studying the big classics, and so I associated poetry with stuff that was very boring. Once I got into the slightly more modern stuff, it gave me a different perspective to appreciate poetry that is very old and very new. I think poetry and art just lives in my blood, drives me to get out of bed and to look at the world and to continue to strive to learn from the world and from art.
Luca performs wherever possible, from backyards at 4 in the morning to Sydney Opera House, where they came third in last year's Australian Poetry Slam. Please welcome to the stage the one and only Luca Buchanan.
In 3.5 billion years, Earth will resemble what we know to be Venus. In 5 billion years, Andromeda and the Milky Way will collide in a dance more beautiful and more terrible than we have ever known. In 2.59 billion more years, the moon will spiral to the Earth, and all the dreams, all the memories, all the secrets and wishes and fears that we impregnated her with will scatter over the ruins of our homes.
Go for it, I would say. I would say get like anything right and express yourself. It's one of the most important tools we have, is what I would say. Write hip-hop. Write clever graffiti. Stop doing tags. Like write something pretty sick. Write something beautiful and poetic. Focus on your images. Yeah. All right. Thank you.